Hey guys, so I'm back in Australia after my 3-month exchange to Japan, and it's great to be back, and I'm doing a 10,000 subscriber Q&A. So thank you guys all for subscribing, and let's get on with it. Alright, to start us off, what is your ethnicity? So my ethnicity is, I'm half Japanese, half Malaysian. My mom being Japanese and my dad being Malaysian. And yeah, what's the easiest way to learn Japanese? So for me, the easiest way to learn Japanese was just by communicating with others around the school. And if you're trying to improve your own Japanese, the best thing you can possibly do for your own sake is to communicate with others, whether it's your friends or just put your Japanese into use. And I think for any language, repetition is always repetition is always key. I have so many comments saying that my school looks like Classroom of the Elite, which sounds fair enough because it is a Japanese school, but most Japanese schools look like that. By the way, how many minutes are there in a period? So at my school, each period was around 50 minutes long with a 10 minutes break after, and that was one of my favorite things in Japan, with a 10-minute break, because you don't actually switch rooms, the teacher switches rooms. You can get ready, organized, go to the locker. If you need to grab your PE uniform, you can go downstairs, grab your shoes, and there's just a bunch of things you can do. My favorite thing was always running to the vending machine to get a drink after class, and it's always super refreshing. What kind of headphones are those? So the headphones you see in most of my videos are the Sony XM3s. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to get them, but yeah, they're really good. I'm also doing exchange in Japan. What program do you use? So the program that Elise and I, which is my twin sister, used was this program called SCCE Exchange, and they were absolutely amazing to work with. I'll put that in the link of my bio if you guys want to check it out. And the partner in Japan is called JDRAC, and yeah, it was a great opportunity, and they made everything really easy. Are masks still required in Japanese schools? At the moment, yes, but they don't really mind if you take it off. But Japan in general, even before COVID, Japan always wore masks because just for health reasons. And if you are a foreigner, please keep your mask on because you gotta just respect Japan's decision in keeping mask in daily life. How old are you? So I'm actually 16 at the time I'm recording this, and I'll be turning 17 in March, so very soon. When do you study? I'm not sure if this is talking about Australia or Japan, but the truth is, I don't study much. But that is changing because I actually need to start trying for school this year. But yeah, I don't study much. I never have really studied much. But in Japan, if my advice to you, if you're doing your exchange in Japan, is don't worry too much on studying the Japanese because you will get that just by talking with people. But enjoy your time. You're only here for a short amount of time. So go out with friends and yeah, hang out. Don't really study, I guess. One of the biggest questions, and the majority of questions that is asked, is where are the girls in your class? There's some even weirder ones where it's like, where the anime girls? Like, so in my year group, which is Koukou 2年生, there was only boys. It was a boys' year because my school only recently became co-education. So that every year below us has girls in it, apart from my year. And also with my school, I'm not sure if this is with the same as people from your countries, but in Japan, each year had around 400 people, which is massive, comparing to my school at the moment in Australia, which only has around 150. Did you struggle with the kanji in lessons? If so, how were you able to work around it? I gotta say, I'm not very good with my kanji to start with, and I could not read any kanji in class. There's just simply too much kanji. But how to work around it, you just gotta communicate. You don't really want to bug your friends too much. Obviously ask for help when you want it, but Japan's also very they've got heaps of exams and they need to study themselves. So don't worry them too much. Remember, you're in exchange. It doesn't really matter if you're not learning everything in class. I think the best thing to do is, well, in class, you're not going to understand a lot of things, so just work on your own Japanese in class. Or, like me, you can just watch YouTube. You can do whatever you want. What's my haircut? So my haircut is actually, it used to be if you saw the first videos, it used to be curtains, very Asian style. But now I permed in Japan, and compared to Australia has perms around $100. In Japan it was around 3,000 yen, which is around maybe $35, $40. So it was quite cheap. So I got my hair permed. Let me know if you like it. What camera do I use? So the camera I use is the GoPro 11. The reason I chose the GoPro 11 over your standard normal camera and why I chose an action camera is because I knew that before going into Japan, I knew I wanted to vlog, and I knew that they take your phones at the start of every lesson. And I was like, what can I do to film in school? And I was like, I'll get a GoPro. It's small, it can fit in my pocket, and I can bring it around area. So yeah, I ended up getting a GoPro. It's not the best camera to record with, but it does the job. Another question, how long does it usually take to get to school? So for me to get to school, it took around 40 to 50 minutes by the bike, which I did most days. But when it started snowing and getting really cold, I started to take the train, which took around 20 to 30 minutes. But a lot of people, Sendai is a very small city, hence a lot of people come from quite far away, because this school is like in the middle of the rice fields, if you can see. So a lot of people spend like an hour to an hour and a half getting to school, which is quite long. If you don't, what does Japanese exchange mean? A lot of people don't actually know what an exchange is, but in my terms of saying this, a Japanese exchange is going to a different country or place to study. And instead of just studying, it's more about learning the culture of that place. So even if you go on a Japanese exchange and you don't pick up too much Japanese, as long as you pick up the culture, you're still learning heaps. Because the culture between Japan and Australia is so different, and it was honestly such a different experience, which is why it was so much fun. Not necessarily because I learned a bit of Japanese, but because I learned about the culture. Why don't they have different hair color? I'm assuming you're talking about people in my school. It's because Japanese schools all around, I'm not sure if this only applies to private schools, but Japanese schools all around are quite strict on appearances. Japan isn't a very multicultural country. It's mostly just Japanese people. So they tend to be wearing the same things, such as standard clothing, right? But then also same kind of hair length, which is usually a little bit above the ear. And you're not allowed to dye your hair, obviously. I used to have like blonde hair, I'll show you that, but then I had to change it to black. And yeah, I got to perm my hair in Japan because I'm an exchange student, but that was like really lucky. Hi, how come you're not wearing school uniform? So the reason our school isn't wearing school uniform is because it used to be just a boys' school, but then it became co-educational with girls in it, and they didn't have a school uniform for girls, so they kind of just said, we'll just let you wear whatever as long as it's appropriate. But there is a PE uniform, and there is also a school uniform, and I'll show you guys that. It's pretty cool. If you've watched Tokyo Revengers, it kind of looks like that, I guess. But yeah, most private schools and normal schools in Japan do have school uniform though. What do you use to study kanji? So I think I've said this as well, but I'm not very good at kanji. But what I used to study kanji was a bunch of kanji quizzes online. You can search them up, and practically there's different kanji for like the different proficiency levels, such as like the JLPT 5, JLPT 4, and I would just go through the simple ones and kind of get to know a few of the kanjis by sight. And I would highly suggest you do that if you're going to Japan. You don't necessarily need to write them, but just recognize them is good. Do you have an Instagram or not? I do have an Instagram, and I would love to reach 1,500 followers. So if you could follow, that would be great. It's at Dylan Tazawa on Instagram. I'll show you guys here. And yeah, I want to post more. I'm really into fashion. Only suddenly I got into fashion, but I also want to make more fashion content. So if you like that, yeah, please subscribe. Where did you get that North Face hoodie? I'm assuming you mean this one, which I'll put up. I got it at one of my favorite thrift shops in Japan, which is called Book Off. Book Off is actually a bookstore, but they do thrifting as well. And Japan is very famous for thrifting, and I love thrifting. Everything's so cheap. So if you go to Japan, make sure you go check out Book Off. It's one of my favorite places. Also, you can buy books. I bought a few manga as well. So thank you guys for watching. It was a short video. Thank you guys for 10,000 subscribers. And if you like this, I'm gonna do a bunch more different content. If you seem to like my channel, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. And I want to start making more videos. And yeah, heaps of vlogs to come, heaps of different types of videos. I don't really want to stick to a niche, so I'll do whatever I want. And yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will answer them, and if you want, follow me on Instagram. So see ya, bye bye.
We should run away to a brighter day. Pack a bag, couple tickets, hopping on a plane. In a different country with each other, change your last name. Tell me, is you with it?